very short video here. Been a while since I've done one of these, but I was doing my reading today, and actually going through a conference book that Jordan and I got while we were gone at a conference last month, and it was talking about yielding, absolute surrender, and I started looking at the definition of surrender. And surrender means cease resistance to an enemy or opponent, and submitting or putting under to their authority. Give up or hand over a right person or possession, and abandon oneself entirely. Give into or lose. And I thought, wow, what a very strong, but a very convicting thought of absolute surrender. Do I do those things? Absolutely. One of the definitions of submit was yield. And we hear that very often, but I thought, how often do we seriously stop? Yield. Here when we're driving, what is yield? You slow down, and specifically if there's another person or car coming, you yield to that person. You back off and you let that person lead. And I just thought, how often do we do that to the Lord? That's what we're called to do, to yield, to surrender, to submit, put ourselves under. And I was looking at the Latin definition of submit, and it meant sub means under, and mit means put. So you're put under that person or Christ. You're put underneath. But I was just thinking about that, and I just thought I'd get on here and share my thoughts of just how convicting that is, and checking myself, am I doing that? And asking you just to consider and think, are you doing that? Are we, as the body of Christ, doing that? It was just eye-opening to me, and a good reminder. Just, do I have absolute surrender to Him, and being completely honest with Him? Another thing that is shared is willingness to fight and rejection of other gods. And when it meant willingness to fighting your spiritual battles. Our Christian life is a spiritual battle. It's done in a spiritual realm, and it's done with spiritual armor. It was just, and in that we have to have absolute, complete surrender and yielding to Him to be able to just win and have victory. And another thing, just a reminder, as Christians, we don't have to fight for victory. We are fighting from victory, and to stand in that. He's already put us in that place. We are already sat with Him in heavenly places. We as Christians do not grasp that. And just a picture of when we willingly submit, absolute submit to Him and surrender to Him, that's where He has put us already. And for me, that's just something I've been dealing with lately, and it was convicting, and it was just good for me to remember. And I figured I would just put that on here, throw it out there, how I am usually, just throwing my thoughts out there. But it was just good. And to remember, I want to share something else in here, and asking ourselves, where's it at? Will you be ruled by your culture, or by your vain traditions? Or will we be ruled by absolute surrender and yielding to Him? That was a very good thing. I've always been one, growing up, being ruled by vain traditions. Even though I wouldn't have said that or acknowledged it that way, that was what it was. And it's just a very good question to ask ourselves. There are very many people who want to give Jesus their sins, but far less who want to give Him their lives. And a verse that they shared in here was There remaineth therefore a rest for the people of God. For he that is entered into his rest hath ceased from his own works, as God did from his. Let us labor therefore to enter that rest, lest any man fall after the same example of unbelief. And when I read that today, it was just a reminder to me that to enter his rest takes full belief, absolute unquestioning belief, and ceasing from my own works. Just goes right underneath that absolute surrender again. And it is in that we can enter his rest for us. So again, just some thoughts. Hopefully this will go on. I've never done it this way before. I usually do my YouTube videos on my computer, so I hope that this works. So I will talk to you later and finish this up.